Good morning, everyone. Hello there. Welcome to Coffee Time Career Chat. My name is Patricia Hayes, and welcome. If this is your first time, glad to have you on board. And I invite you early to go take a look at previous episodes and shows that we've done. There's a deep vault of goodies that's been done. So you can check that out on any of the socials. But if you're here for the first time, welcome. My name is Patricia. I'm an executive advisor, empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And pretty much what that means is I love working with people who are looking to get to the next level in their professional lives and careers, and they want to do so in an authentic way. They want to do it in a sustainable way that's aligned with their values. And so we do that with coaching and professional relationship building, and absolutely making sure that we have a sustainable network of people around us throughout our career, not just when we need something. Yes. So Coffee Time has been going on for a number of years now. And what I'm focusing on this month is diversifying your professional relationships. That's the Monday series. And there's a masterclass coming up next Tuesday. Just in case you haven't seen it, make sure you go register at the link in the bio. But on Wednesdays this month, we have been talking about leveraging your network at any age and any level. And so last week, we started off with level one, right? You're a newbie to the game. You're just getting started, or maybe you haven't really focused on your professional networking efforts prior. And so that's really the way to look at it. And I invited people to share that out with your young, new professionals just starting, leaving from high school, leaving from college, and all of that. Today, we're talking about level two, which is pretty much your first big job change or transition. And this normally happens anywhere from 3 to 5 to 8 years, right? Things are so different in today's world. So, be generous with that time frame. But as I've seen it, it kind of marks that time frame, 3-year mark, 5-year mark, or 8-year mark is when there may be a first time. And so we're talking about what it is you need to do in leveraging your network when that transition time comes, right? And the first thing is remembering that regardless of whether you are making this transition by choice, you've just decided it's time for you to move on, whether you've been laid off, which can be a little traumatic, or if you've flat out been fired. Here's the thing. The strategies are the same. You may need some additional coaching depending on which one of those scenarios you walk through, because you're probably going to have some confidence issues, or just taking a little blow to your mindset. So that's a whole other separate little thing. But I want to always encourage people to make sure to take advantage of those moments when you might need some additional coaching to support you in a transition. But today we're just going to focus on the leveraging of the network piece, of leveraging of your people. And so the first thing I have is make sure you identify your fan club. Now, don't do anything with this information yet. You just want to start taking the time of who is in my fan club? What do I mean by that? I always talk about these are the people who have been supporting you professionally from day one, or from the day one that they've met you, right? They've been, your private cheerleaders, always checking in on you. It could be a fellow colleague, a peer. It could be someone who's an old professor or teacher. It could be your first boss, right? And you want to identify who those people are so that you can, number one, really lean into thinking about what and how you might get, what information you might be able to glean from them, and how you might be able to leverage them and their information in your process, right? But you're just going to start collecting this information. And I always encourage people to do this, because this is not going to be the first or the last. This may be the first time, let me say this, but it won't be the last time that you will reach out to this group. Throughout my decades of experience. I have a key core group of folks that I reach out to when I'm doing transition. There have been people who've been added to the list. There have been others who have been moved away from the list, right? And so just because you grow or your needs change or, everyone kind of shifts around, right? So you want to keep this. And we will come back to it later, okay? But the things you want to think about is, who they are. Why is it that they, you feel like they should be a part of your fan club list that you can really check in with, because it'll develop into your personal mastermind potentially. And then just tuck it away. Because the second thing that you're going to need to do is now you're going to need to take some reflection time for yourself, that really where you take the time to identify what your wants and or needs are for the next job, for the next position. And I really hesitate using the word job, because when people go from job to job, there's no connection there, which is why most of the time you will hear me talk about your career. Because when it's your career, it's in the totality of things. You as a professional, you with your goals and dreams, what is it that you want to accomplish long-term in your career? And then recognizing and start developing and nurturing that concept or idea that this next position is feeding into that long-term career goal process. Okay. And so what it is you want or need is really important to acknowledge, because sometimes, most times, there's stuff in your first career, your first job, that you really don't want to repeat, right? If it was a less than supportive environment, if there were certain types of people that you really don't want to have to engage with again in order to get the work done, whatever it might be, you need to be brutally honest. This is just for you. And I always encourage you to literally write it down, pros and cons of where you are now, and then wish list for where you would like to be next. Okay. Because this sets the expectation for yourself. It also will help you to be able to have a conversation with people about what it is you're looking for. There's nothing worse than telling someone, oh my goodness, I'm looking for a new gig. And then they ask you the obvious question, oh, well, what do you want to do? And you're like, well, I'm not really sure. I'm still trying to figure it out. Wrong answer. Because guess what? You have just lost the opportunity to really engage with that. Unless this is a close friend or very close colleague that you talk to a lot, you do not want to lay that information out there unless you are ready to discuss what it is you want to do next. Now, a slight deviation. If you have been laid off or fired, so that means something you were, where it was imposed on you, then that means that other people may get access to that information before you're ready. Okay. It happens. It happens in good transitions too. I've got a story for that. I'm not going to tell it right now. It still makes my blood boil. When someone releases your transition information before you're ready, even when it's your choice. Okay. But if it's one of those situations where it's not really your choice, you've been laid off or you've been fired, and so people are going to know about it sooner than you would have preferred, then when someone asks you, hey, what are you going to do next? You say, then I'm not sure yet, but I will circle back around to you and I would love to have a conversation. That's how you handle that situation. Okay. But if you're initiating and think about what it is, you want to make sure that you have given some kind of thought to what it is you want to do next, even if you're not absolutely positive. Okay. It's okay. But you can say, hey, there are some things I want, to make sure to incorporate into this next move. There are some things I'd like to remove from this next move. And that will help you to facilitate a conversation that will help people help you. Okay. So it's really important to be able to engage in that reflection time, write it down, go back to it. This is not a one and done exercise. It will probably take several days or a few weeks, depending on how much time you allow for it. But allow the things, because as you explore positions, you will learn more. So, because you could very well think, oh, I want to go do a position. And then you get to talking to people, or you start to reading some job descriptions. You're like, that is not what I want to do. And so you want to revise and update these notes and these thoughts so that you can have a good conversation when you engage people. Okay. The third thing that you're going to want to do is absolutely lean into any professional associations or memberships that you have. Hopefully, you have had some, even if it's just one. I always recommend that young people get involved in at least one professional related organization. It will be a good place, because it's a good place to get some training, probably less expensive. It's a good place to meet people that you might not otherwise be able to engage with from all levels. So not just your peers. Here's the thing. When you're looking to get to your next gig, most of the time, don't hold me to it, most of the time, it's not coming from the same person that's at your same level, right? It's coming from someone who has more experience, who's been in the industry or whatever. Now, here's the caveat. The next gig can come through one of your peers, because let's say they happen, they know about it and they happen to talk to a family member, their boss, or a mentor that they have. And so again, recognizing it's coming from someone with more experience, it's just coming through them to you. Do not underestimate the power of resources coming through someone else. Too often people limit their thinking to, oh, it has to come from this person, or it's not going to be anything. Not true at all. I have had so many opportunities down through the years. I've watched people that I've worked with where the opportunity that they're looking for comes through someone else in very unusual ways. So leave yourself open to opportunities, leave yourself open to unusual opportunities from unusual sources. Okay. This is something that I tell people throughout the entire career thing. Now, younger folks, 3, 5, 8-year, professionals are probably generally a little more flexible and more open to this, right? It's generally when I get to my folks who've been around a minute who are less flexible about looking at sources. And so we have to do a little work around that. Okay. But here's the thing. Connecting in your industry is very important. If for some reason you have not been involved in a membership organization in your industry, I highly recommend you do it right away. Membership fees can be relatively low. A lot of industries scale their fees, recognizing that someone who's younger and newer to the industry does not have, the financial wherewithal to pay hundreds of dollars most of the time. So take advantage of that. And so one industry organization, I suggest you go join immediately once you realize it's time for you to make a shift, and or if you've already been laid off or job, go find one industry professional association and join it immediately. Do not let paying a $75 or $100 membership fee hold you back from doing that. It will totally be worth the investment. All right. Just the access to the people and their resources alone will make it worth your while. That's the other option is to join a probably it's more along the lines of a club, but it's of young professionals, right? So it may not be industry specific, but it is of young professionals who have mixers, they have networking events, they have training opportunities, learning opportunities, right? This is another great source. And this is one to be able to stay a part of. So find one that aligns with you, where you are right now and how it might work. And then continue to take advantage of those opportunities that are offered up in either one of these types of associations or memberships. Okay. Get involved. Give a little bit of your time back, because the more you do those types of things, the more, the better the relationships you will create and establish, and you expand your network accordingly, because these folks and will not only become your connection, but their connections will become your connections. And that's always one of the goals of being very deliberate about your professional relationship building, is you're not just relying on the people who you touch immediately. It then becomes access to those people who touch those others. Okay, that makes sense. So the circles start overlapping. Okay, the fourth thing is, now it's time to call in your fan club to do the heavy lifting. Okay, and this is when you start having deep conversations about them, with what it is you're really looking for, asking them, their opinions about what could be a good move for you. If they're just like, hey, just let me know, I will keep an eye out. Or if you need someone to talk to, because sometimes you will, just to to unload. And then there's the potential for some of these people to become part of your personal mastermind. We're not going to get into detail there, but your personal mastermind really becomes those folks who are not just fan club, but they also have the authority to make decisions. They have a very long reach when it comes to their own professional network at higher levels, and they can give you some deep insight, right? So, you're building out these relationships along the way that should be sustainable over time, right? They're not going to be there all of the time. It may flex, which is why it's great to have, a small group of people in order to reach out to. Okay, so I'm not talking about one or two folks. I'm talking about probably at least 3 to 5 to start with. And again, recognizing that it may evolve over time. Okay. But like I said, this is the time to call in that fan club, to have the in-depth conversations with them about what it is you're looking for, what it is you want to do, asking their opinions, right? Taking it, listening to any critiques that come your way, because literally, if these are your fan club members, anything they're offering is to help build you up. And that's why I was really specific about it. Don't go laying out things to people who are not going to be supportive of you for real and long term. If you've got someone who's just going to be a negative Nelly and question everything, that is not the person you want as a part of this process. All right. It doesn't mean you can't get something useful from one of those people. You can, but it ain't coming soon. I'm just going to tell you, been there, done that. So I tell you now, learn early how to mind your mouth, mind your mouth in your transition time, because everybody should not be entitled to this information. All right. Just because things evolve, and everyone is not, unfortunately, is not looking out for your best interest. So be mindful of it, be particular, be picky, right, about who you lay out the details to. And so you have levels that you share with people, but be picky about the ones that you're laying out all the details to, because you really do want and need their input and support. Okay. And then finally, you have to take action daily. Right? Every single day, some small thing. It doesn't have to be something huge. It could be as simple as sending a message to someone, connecting with someone over coffee one day, having lunch another day, meeting up with someone at the gym on another. Like, keep active, keep involved. This is not the time to shrink and hide away. This is the time really to kind of double down on being a little more involved, maybe even to the point of being a little uncomfortable, because it's about visibility. All right. And so don't wear yourself out. Don't burn yourself out, but it will require effort. Okay. Because here's the reality. I tell people all the time, people, not paper, are much more likely to get your next position. What do I mean by that? It means it's going to come through the mouth or the connections of someone else, rather than just flashing your resume around to somebody cold. warm connections, warm leads are always going to be stronger than just a cold, like just sharing out your resume blindly. Okay. Be deliberate. That's a whole other conversation. I have there's a book that I would recommend. Don't send your resume. Everybody's not ready for that. So we can talk about that another time, or reach out to me. But it's really about being very picky, thinking outside the box of what you're doing when you're in this point of transition, and remaining true to yourself, really and truly. Okay. All right. That is it. That's it for your level twos. First time out the box, or if your first big job change or shift, generally about 3 to 5 years. You want to make sure that you start identifying your fan club. Make sure you take the reflection time necessary to identify your wants and needs. Lean in to professional associations and membership groups at this point in time. Make sure now it's time to call in your fan club and let them do the heavy lifting on connecting for you. And finally, make sure you take action every single day. There we are. Okay. So glad to be here with you all again. Looking forward to following up. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have some additional input, right? Some additional thoughts or questions. And be sure to share this link, and to connect it on, make sure that you click whatever bell or reminder so that you know when coffee time is coming up next. Take care, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.